Firstly, thank you everyone for coming. It's great to have so many familiar faces on the crowd tonight. Most importantly, very much thank you to Erkut. I've known Erkut now for maybe 3 or 4 years, professionally and personally. And without saying too much, and we'll go into that detail, one of the UK and Europe's top football agents, and we're absolutely delighted to have you with us tonight to talk about football, which is the reason why we're here in part. What you guys might not know about Erkut is that actually he is very much an honorary Jew. The reason why that is the case, he lives in northwest London, his son goes to a Jewish nursery, he has a slight affinity to Arsenal, and knows more Hebrew than me, I think is probably fair to say. So I'm not sure if you want to wow them with a few words.
First of all, תודה רבה. ערב טוב, ברוכים הבאים. And I don't think my Hebrew is better than yours. Is it good like this?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think it's better, but obviously, I mean, I can maybe start with a small kind of story. Like 1 year ago, my son was at home with me, my wife, and my sister was there. And suddenly my son was saying, "Khala, khala." And khala in Turkish means auntie. And my sister was running to me. He's saying khala, he's saying auntie to me, he's saying auntie. I said, I never taught them aunt in Turkish. So, and then Emma was looking it up, it means bread. And I said, no, it means bread. So he goes from nursery. So, yeah. But first of all, really, thanks for having me. I'm more than happy to be here and sharing the stage with you. We did many times in different countries. We were in India, we were in America. And it's a fantastic journey we are on together. I mean, it's not just you and me. I mean, Charlie and Jack sitting there as well. We started all this kind of thing together, and I'm really looking forward to even do more in future. And hopefully we can do something nice here together today. And for such a cause, I'm more than happy to be here and do something.
Thank you. Obviously interested in, I know I am, even though I've heard your stories quite a few times now, which means I can set them up for you quite nicely, hopefully, is, you know, I think there's a big mystique attached to football agents more generally, to the world of football that people see, and actually what actually occurs in practice. But I remember one of the stories that you tell a lot is actually your journey into football in the first place, and to try and convince your parents that being a football agent was for you, and maybe just share some of those ideas early on.
I always wanted to become a teacher. So that was actually, I love teaching, I love making other people better, especially younger ones. I love giving back. But for my parents, or especially my father, he said, doctor or lawyer. So that was the choice I had. And so he's coming from a very poor background. My father couldn't go to school because of no money back in Turkey. My grandfather couldn't send him to school, which was over an hour away, the next big city to go. So he needed to work at the farm. But he had always a dream, my son will study. So, and I was sitting there, I want to become a teacher. My father wants me to become a lawyer. And so I can't make him unhappy, he's my father. So he did so much for me, he sacrificed his life. So how can I make him happy, and how can I be happy? So I decided, okay, I study law and become a lawyer. And then I go the academic career. So I did 3 masters in different countries. I did my doctor in law in Germany. So, and then I was a lawyer, my father was happy, and I was an academic and teaching at university. Maybe it was a better thing then, in the end, because I wasn't a teacher at school, I was a teacher at university. And becoming an agent, it's actually happened because I followed my passion, which is teaching. So a lot of people ask me, how do you become an agent? And then I say, look, I just followed my passion in life, and that's teaching. And I was teaching as a sports lawyer at that time, when I did my doctor in law. I saw there is no education for agents, and I realized that's a niche, so why no one is teaching these upcoming agents? And then I said, okay, I set up seminars in different countries in Europe, and I was going to these places and I was teaching people who want to become an agent, or who is already an agent and wants to learn how to act as or how to work as an agent. And this brought me actually to family members who wanted to represent their kids, and one by one they asked me, hey, okay, you're a young lawyer, would you like to help us in this deal and that deal? And suddenly I was in the business, which is not my favorite job, I have to say. I still love teaching more than anything else, even I represent football players in different countries. But my final goal in life is becoming a professor, and that's what I'm working on it right now.
what would be interesting?
Come on, get with the program. What would be interesting, I think, for people to hear about is, I think lots of people either want to get to become a football agent through lots of different ways. Your actual journey to become a football agent, so you talked about doing educational courses and then football agents coming and listening because you had to pass an exam at that time. Could you tell us about how that beginning of that relationship with Mesut, for example, started as a result of that process?
So, as I said, I was teaching, and one day I got a phone call from Mesut Özil's father, and actually I was in London. Funny enough, I don't know if I told about Jack and Charlie. I was actually in Oxford, and I was doing some research for my doctor. So the money actually I was doing from teaching, I was investing again into education. Like I was coming to the law library in Oxford, and I was doing research for my doctor thesis. And then I got a phone call, and then it was the father, and he said, "Yeah, we would like to come here to Düsseldorf and teach us. Would you like to teach us?" Me, Mesut's brother, the other 5 employees in the marketing company, about how to do boots deal, how to negotiate a contract, PR, media. And I said, yeah, I can do that. So I started once a month, flying from Istanbul to Düsseldorf and teaching them. And after 6 months, the family asked me, would you be interested in becoming his lawyer? And then I said, oh, you know what, I have a lot to do with my PhD and I'm into it and it's difficult. So I went then to Madrid to meet Mesut. And so the agreement we did was, I always love to negotiate. I said, look, I can work 3 days a week for you as your lawyer. The other 2 days in the week, I need to work on my PhD. I need to go to the library. And the 2 days at the weekend. That means 4 days I work with my doctor, and 3 days I can work for you. That's how I started. And 6 months later, we were just sitting in a hotel in Düsseldorf. And it was literally the whole family members, other than the father, everyone was there. And then he said, Erkut, we just took a family decision and we want you to be the agent. From now on, you represent me as an agent. Is it okay? I said, I have never done it on that level, but if I can go on with my doctor, then I will accept it. So you have to accept as well that I do my PhD. They said, okay, that's fine, but you start. So that's literally how it started. So I never gave up my passion for nothing in life. So, and I would do never in my life.
The journey effectively starts with probably one of the most high profile, at least potentially high profile players in world football that not has come to you, but you've come to them, rather they've come to you with that educational piece, with the building of trust as a trusted lawyer to then actually going to become the actual agent. I'd be interested just to go chronologically then. How did you find the negotiations that happened at various stages of Mesut's career, and then obviously from an international perspective as well, the acclaim and award that he had as a result? How did those first few years go as an extremely high-profile agent for an extremely high-profile player?
It wasn't easy, and because people think if you have high-profile clients, you've done it. I mean, to come to a certain level in that business is difficult, and some might work in the football agency world here, but to remain on that level is 10 times harder. So that was people. The pressure is unbelievable. To deliver on a high level every day, it's unbelievable. To looking after a football player like Mesut Özil, or equally, there are some other players like that, is like looking after 25, 30 medium range players every day. So the amount of work is unbelievable. The amount of opportunities on commercial deals, on media appearances, and so on is so much. It never ends. So for me, it was like so much from the beginning, and I needed to learn. And I was looking after him and didn't have any clients. There was like 1, 2 young players in Germany, and people were telling me, why don't you take more clients? You have one of the biggest clients playing Real Madrid, take more. And I can't do that. I can't take more clients because I can't deliver. And I think I can give him the best service if I give my whole time into that client, because he's so much work. And that a lot of people didn't understand, but I never changed. So I took really less clients. I never had a lot of clients, and then I realized 5, 6 years ago, I need to build a team to be able to take more clients. And that's what I started doing, like here in London. I'm taking people from all over the world, I teach them. They come to my offices and then I send them back to their countries. And now we're a team of 8, Jack? 7 or 8? Jack is the first one, actually. I started teaching, he's there. And so that's kind of, the team is now there, and every team member in the countries in Europe signing now players, and we're growing every day. So that's kind of...
So this might be a question for your wife rather than you, but you know, when I'm working with a lot of different agents across lots of different countries as well, the life of a football lawyer sometimes can be pretty hectic, as Holly well knows, but the life and being the wife of a football agent, it must be horrendous. I mean, Holly thinks I'm on WhatsApp enough, but you know, you guys I see are, you know, constantly traveling, constantly working weekends, 24/7. You're in the service industry more than most, really, because as much as the high profile signing looks great, actually it's the 365 days a year, other stuff that you're having to do to maintain all of that. What does an average week or month look for you, and how does that vary accordingly?
Really difficult to say, because literally every day is different than the day before. So I never had one week look like the same one. I have a lot of friends, they work as a lawyer, which I know like from the past, or as an accountant. They have approximately the kind of the same week. They go Monday to Friday to office, Saturday, Sunday off. Is kind of what they have. They go twice a gym, watch football with friends, that's it. So our life is totally like, you don't know what will happen tomorrow. So I was here on the way in the car, and one of the football players' father called me. And then he said, Erkut, actually 20 minutes later the player himself called me as well, because I said to the father, I can't do tomorrow, but I'm at Swansea. So tomorrow we go with Jack to Swansea, one of our young players signs a professional contract. It's his first professional contract as a young player. We worked hard for it, and I talked even with Jack today in the office about that. And then the father called me on the way and trying to convince me to be in Crystal Palace tomorrow for actually a bigger deal. It's not about that deal. It's about, then you say you can't. I said I can't. Look, I have a client. I need to be in Swansea. 20 minutes later, on the way, the player calls. Erkut, please, you know, I'm just on my way to London now. The paperwork will be done tomorrow morning. Can you be just there? My father's coming as well. He needs you next to me. And then I said, then you're thinking like, well, you can't, right? It's impossible. Like, and I said, no, I'm going to Swansea. The next day, on Saturday morning, I'm flying to Germany, to Stuttgart, driving 2 hours to a place where I meet a family member and the football player. He's on a tournament there, indoor tournament. The player who plays in Austria, which we want to sign. He's a national team player for Austria, youth national. Saturday evening in a hotel, we meet the father and the boy. Hopefully we sign a contract. And Sunday afternoon, I'm flying back to London. So the whole weekend I'm gone, literally. And the next week, to be honest, I don't know where I will be. From now on, I know probably Monday I will be in London, but if there's a deal coming up in any place in Europe, so you have to go, because it's transfer window. So now there's so many deals happening, and you can't say you're not going, and especially for our own players. Yesterday I had to talk 1 hour, so I went out, so put my son to sleep, and then I always in the night I have this approximately 1 hour where I walk the dog, and I have a schedule on that time who I do call, who couldn't talk before. And one was my client, like he was desperate, he can't go to Scotland. A team from the Scottish Premier League made an offer to a German team. We can't get the boy out. For days now we're struggling. And the club doesn't want to sell him. The boy is nearly crying on the phone, and you're like a mentor. You're like on the phone and say, come on, you know it's hard work, but you will make it in future. And it's like, I'm walking the dog and I'm thinking, I still have 3 people to call. So the dog walking sometimes could be 1.5 hours. My wife's saying, where have you been? Like, where have you been all the time? So we want to watch something, like, where have you been? So,
the dog's so tired. Why is the dog so tired?
He's very old now.
Working with Erkut, actually the main benefit, and then of traveling with Erkut, is Erkut has, I don't know what kind of air miles card with British Airways, but whatever card he has, he doesn't queue for anything, ever. So, remember when we went to Miami and then Mumbai, literally I just go on his coattails. There's a special little avenue I didn't know existed in Heathrow Airport that I think is just for you, for all your air miles. We go through, like they know your name. It's fantastic. So, yeah, they do. So the other thing that I was wanting to, the other story that I thought would be interesting to share with the audience is, as long as you're able to tell it, is the fun experience you had with Mesut when you were heading out for some dinner one time, and there was some paparazzi out in the out waiting for you, and what happened as a result there.
Really funny story. It was like 4 years ago now, and there was Champions League night. It's a long time ago actually, 3-4 years for Arsenal. I don't know if there are any Arsenal fans. Probably next year is not even EuroLeague, it looks like. So it's getting... And there's no one official from Arsenal here, right? Not that I have some problems later. So it was a Champions League night and they lost, and I was at his house after the game, and then we decided to go out and eat something. So, and outside paparazzi was waiting in the car, and while we were driving out, I could see, okay, they're hiding in the car, and we just came out of the gate, and suddenly 2 guys jump out of the car, took their photo, the machine, like, it was like really bright, you know, when they do like 100 times in front of you. And I told to my client, like to Mesut, just drive very slowly, like literally, like, so that we just passed them up very slowly. So we were driving so slowly, suddenly one of the journalists pushed his arm against the side mirror and started screaming and fall down. Yeah, he's like acted like as we hit him, right? And then we were laughing, like, look at him, what he's doing, you know, like an idiot. So we went to the restaurant, we had our food in Golders Green. Coming back, police cars, ambulance, police were looking for us. That's what's going on. So the police came into the house and said, yeah, you hit the journalist and then just left. I said, no, we didn't hit any journalists. He just created this scenario, you know, we didn't do anything. So we explained, and then we said, look, there are cameras here, you should check them. And there were like 4 policemen sitting in the house, like we were sitting there at the kitchen table and talking. Then they made some alcohol tests with the player, and everything was fine. And in the end, they said, yeah, you know, we know how journalists and these paparazzi guys sometimes can be. And some of the policemen were Arsenal fans. So, and the guy from the restaurant, the owner, came over as well when he heard police and stuff like that. And he had 4 tickets we gave him before for the game at the weekend in our box at the Emirates. So he got the idea suddenly to invite the 4 policemen to the box. So he said, don't you want to come this weekend for the Arsenal, I don't know what game is what, to Mesut Özil's box, so we can watch it together. I said, yeah, why not? So they took the 4 tickets, and I thought, it's done, you know. And then it was weekend, we were at the game, and other journalists this time photographed the policeman sitting in Mesut Özil's box and make a story out of it that we are bribing policemen, that they dropped the case against him. So there was a hearing at police station and everything, and I was explaining, guys, we didn't, I mean, there's cameras checked, we didn't hit anyone, so it was a mess. And the policeman had disciplinary proceedings, something like that, but in the end everything was fine. They should just let their chief of police know that they got tickets and they needed to ask, so they should be able to go then, but they didn't. But I mean, this happens, like paparazzi is crazy, especially in this country. So I'm born and raised in Germany, but here it's a different world. I mean, it's unbelievable.
How many policemen do you bribe on a weekly basis?
We can talk there about that. There's some now.
So just changing track a tiny bit, because I know one of the questions that always gets asked and is always of interest to people is, everybody always sees the narrative of the footballer, which is well paid, only has to play football for a living, glamorous, easy life, why don't they put more effort in, why don't they do this, why don't they otherwise do it? But what a lot of people don't see and don't necessarily advertise all the time is the fantastic work that players do for different charities, for different organisations, etc. So if I just give a couple of examples, some of the stuff that Holly and I do over the Christmas period that a lot of players, including some that Erkut works for, has been fantastic with, is ask Puma or Adidas or Nike to be able to donate merchandise, whatever else it might be, for particular children's hospices or children's schools or whatever else it might be, kids in hospital at Christmas time. And I know that one of the things that I'm always very keen to change the narrative on, because I see a lot of good that players and talented people do who are in the public eye, is good deeds that don't necessarily get shown day in, day out. And it's easy to be able to take Mesut or Aguero or anybody else, see their behaviour on a pitch and think that defines them as a person, when actually it's usually their words and actions off the pitch that doesn't necessarily get seen all the time, that more likely defines them as people and as human beings. So what would be just really quite interesting to give a bit of insight on, you told a great story, hopefully you can talk about it as well, is the message that is in Mesut's kitchen from his mum, and the type of stuff that Mesut does, which he won't necessarily publicise to everyone. I know a lot of it as well because I see it, but it would just be good to share some nice stories about the great stuff that goes on behind the scenes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's very important to work with clients who have that narrative, who thinks about doing a lot of stuff off the pitch, which makes it more interesting for me to work. And there's a sense there's something you can do. So these football players, they earn a lot of money, yes. They have a huge reach, but what do you do with that? If you're using that in a good cause, can you create something with that? Can you help others with that? And this is something we work literally every day. Yeah, I mean, Charlie's here, he knows like what we're doing with kids in different countries. I mean, so we started, for just one example, in 2010. Since then, Mesut is operating kids worldwide. And this thing grew by time every year. We did like huge operations with German doctors in Brazil in 2014. We did in 2016 in Africa, in Russia. So we literally sent doctors, Swiss doctors or German doctors, or into different countries and do operations. And now this summer, or last summer when he got married, he announced he want to operate 1,000 kids as a gift for his wedding, as a wedding gift. He said, Erkut, let's operate 1,000 kids worldwide. And then I said, that costs a lot of money, right? Operating 1,000 kids is not like flying the doctors there and so on. And he said, look, I earn a lot of money. If I don't help now, when will I help? If I have it now, if I don't share it now, the wealth, what I have. I'm coming from a poor background, he said. I didn't have much. My mom was going cleaning to 2 different schools every day, so we had a living. So I have so much, so I have to give it now, which I love, you know, because that letter in his house, what's mom left is what he is today. So when he moved from Real Madrid to Arsenal, so that was the time when I moved in from Germany to London as well, to be closer to him and to work. And then there was in the kitchen, there's a letter from his mom hanging till today. And it says, my son Mesut, like not 100%, but 99% I can tell you. It says, my son Mesut, we all are in this world a guest. Like you, we, everyone, we will all go. Yeah, and God give you a gift. You're talented, not like your brothers or sisters. So you make a huge living, a lot of money, which they don't do. But God didn't give it to you just for yourself. He gave it to you to share with these who are needed, who are in need and who don't have that what you have. And if you don't do that, you are not my son, and don't call me mom. And then the mom signed it like, and this is every day, he sees that. And that's what he drives him. He always tells me, Erkut, what can we do? What else can we do? We invite always kids with cancer, for example, they're coming always to the box. He had a relationship with kids for over years, and some of them died. So he knew them, like the family. So we do a lot, so he always knows. And for example, in 3 weeks' time, I'm going to India, to Bangalore. So the doctors, 10 doctors coming over, they will be in one hospital in Bangalore, and 12 days there will be operations. It's all financed by him. And I will be there myself to see like really what's happening there as well, and give that to other players hopefully as well, the thing, to do something good. And I'm proud of that. And that really drives me and gives me more passion to do more with these players.
Thank you for that. And I think, look, for me that's a very inspirational message that doesn't usually get out as much, because obviously Schadenfreude sells. People like to hear the negativity of stuff for lots of different reasons. And if I just give one more example, it was about 2 years ago, one of the players we worked with, Gerard Deulofeu, when he was on loan at Everton, there was a social media clip which went viral on Twitter about 2 or 3 years ago. And it was a boy, maybe 12 or 13 years old. He had cerebral palsy, and he was playing and training with his dad in local park in Liverpool. And he was doing skills, going in between cones, scoring in the goal, but doing it with himself and his dad. And then, slide scoring away as he scores the winner in the last minute. And Deulofeu is on his back. Now, the guys that work with Deulofeu picked it up, got in touch with the dad on Twitter, invited him to a game. He was on the pitch for half-time, scored a goal in front of the Gladys Street, which is obviously fantastic for him. And Everton did even better, where they then had the Goal of the Month competition on their website, which he then won. And so it can sometimes be from very small things, good, lovely things can happen. So just to give you maybe a 5-minute warning, we're going to get some Q&A going in a few minutes. So get your questions ready. We've got probably about 25 minutes time just to get some questions to Erkut. Try and be nice if possible. The one question I maybe wanted to end on, or maybe just have 2 questions on, I'll do 2 questions first, is, the perception of a football agent generally isn't great. For lots of different reasons. People think that football agents just make one phone call and earn hundreds of millions, not hundreds, well, if you're million real, maybe hundreds of millions, but generally millions of pounds. What I can see exactly what you do in your day-to-day job to try and confound that image to a degree. How and what do agents do to be able to earn that reputation sometimes? And are there good agents around that actually are trying to tell a different story?
I've always been very radical about that. I say, if we have good people in the football clubs, we will have good agents as well. So the major problem in my eyes lies within the clubs, not within the agents. Because these clubs don't need to use these so-called dodgy or stealing agents. They're there, yeah, like in any other business. But certain clubs and certain people working inside the clubs, they love them. They love to steal money. So that's why agents' commissions are sometimes so high. Yeah? And the money is getting out from the club. And the best way to get back into the pockets is through an agent. Yeah? Let's give him not 5% commission, let's give him 15. And then so he can give my cousin another 7.5 back. So that's why a lot of clubs is no wonder working always with the same agents. There are some patterns, you can just follow them. And they're to understand, they're agents who are representing players, and they're agents who are representing the club side in the same deal. Let's say I'm an agent and represent you. And let's say West Ham United wants you.
Only West Ham?
Yeah, only West Ham. And we together, you're my player, we're going to West Ham United and have a meeting. And suddenly 2 other agents sitting there. And West Ham United says, these 2 agents represent West Ham United in this deal. And I'm telling myself, why do you guys need 2 agents? You have a sport director in football? He can do the whole work, doesn't he? Why do you have to put 2 agents into this deal? And I'm the agent of the player? You don't know. No, they need these agents to bring money out and then to bring it back to the pockets of these guys. It's very simple. So no one is talking about the agents on the club side. Everyone is blaming us, the agents of the player. Our commission is set. It could be 5%, 7, 10%, whatever. Some agents might get even more. But who is talking about the agents of the clubs? Same agents? I mean, we are all registered at the Football Federation in England. We have all the same things, but they're representing the club and I represent the player. I can also represent in a deal a club, but the money which is generated on that side is massive, and no one asks the club, hey club, why do you pay so much money to these agents? No one. The clubs are stronger. They have a bigger lobby. They know the people in the papers. They can always blame the bad agents. Yeah, we pay so much money to these dodgy and bad and these, greedy agents. No. It's not on that side. It's on the club side. I give you one example. I was also sitting at FIFA at the commission, and working for the new regulations to change the agents' regulations. And I said in that commission, the first rule it needs to be changed to have the agents' world better is just one single sentence. If anyone inside the football club, anyone working for a football club, getting money from an agent should be banned from football all life. And they said, no, we can't do that. So as you know, if they can't even get this rule there out to ban people inside football clubs stealing money, then you understand what's going on. I mean, it's simple. I mean, the problem lies 100% within the clubs. Of course there are bad agents, good agents, like good lawyers, bad lawyers, good accountants, bad. But the way they steal the money, it's come from the club and not from the agent, and that's the problem. A lot of people don't talk about that because they say, Erkut, you're destroying the industry we are in. I said, I'm not stealing money. If you want to steal money, you can. I'm not. I learned that you can't spend money you steal. We say in Turkish, you can't eat bread from the money you've stolen. If you buy bread with the money you've stolen, it's not good for you and for your family. That's how I grew up. But these people don't care about it. So, and football player never had that. Nowadays it changed, and the narrative it's going to be that athletes will becoming more important than clubs. So that's where we're going now, and you can't compete. Clubs know that, and they realize it. Because I just give you an example, Ronaldo goes from Real Madrid to Juventus Turin and they sell millions of jerseys. And all these fans who are buying the jerseys, they're not Juventus Turin fan, they're Ronaldo fan. None of them supports the team, they support the player. And they have a huge reach. I mean, like, for example, Mesut has a double reach than the club on his media. His own media is like double the size than the club. If he says something, he reaches more people. I mean, that's a massive power you have. And media is so powerful, if all you know how powerful media is, and the players have that, and it's growing. And Mesut is the most followed player in the Premier League. So when he posts or tweets, it goes all over the world. And it's all surrounding everywhere. And people are asking us sometimes, are you guys working with the PR agency for these things? We don't, it's just our team, Jack, Charlie, it's us.
About different players' pathways. That some players, when they're getting scholarship deals, will be hopefully superstars. Some players, most players actually won't become superstars and will be lucky to be mid-range footballers who have decent careers, but will need to have another career afterwards. My question for you is, how do you go about picking, I say if that's the right way to be able to do it, pick the type of players? Is it their families? Is it their upbringings? Is it the way that they conduct themselves? Hopefully I'm putting towards a story that I'm sure you'll tell about the rep contract and stuff in Germany from a while back maybe. The question is, generally, as an agent, you obviously want to develop long-term relationships with your players. How do you go about that, and have there been instances where you've actually stopped relationships because actually you don't think it's been productive to do so?
So I learned very quickly that one of the most important things is that the coach should want you and not the club. Yeah. So in some cases, the club, they say you're a club player or a coach player. And I think especially for a young player, development is very important, and minutes that the player plays is very important. So the player shouldn't choose the club with the money. The player should choose the team, the coach who sees that player, I like him, I will play him, I will develop him. So it's a long-term commitment rather than a short-term. So that's for me, especially with young players, very, very important to go there where I think the coach, so with the Scottish team, the coach wanted him, but the club is not selling him, right? We are in a dilemma. The boy says, I'm getting depressed, I want to go here, right? And then I'm saying, yes, but we can't do your contract, your former agent at that deal, not me. So in the end, so this is top. Like the coach should want you. And also important is how long you sign a contract. Because if you're under 18, the player can't sign more than 3 years, which is like, okay. But if you're above 18 or above, you can sign 5 years contract. In some countries like Spain, even longer. So the duration of the contract is very important, and you have to think, how old is the player? How long will he stay there? And what's the next step? Yeah, I think that's kind of duration part is very important. And I think for me personally is what I talk with the players very important in transfers is like they have to really want it and believe it. They shouldn't do it like driven by something else. If they don't believe it, just to make a move because they have to make a move or so. It's really like if the passion is there, if they believe in the team, if they believe in that move. So it's like we are kind of a mentor. I feel myself like I'm more a mentor than an agent. It's like preparing them for the next game, talking with them. It's really like working with them. Like I'm kind of a psychologist by now for football players maybe. I'm more professional than someone who's working with players probably because 15 years I'm doing that. So I think that's very, very important for me as well. Jack, did I forget something? Yeah. I mean, yeah, these are the three, I think, aspects. I think it's very important. There are other aspects, if you go into details with bonuses, how you structure it. I think there should be always a way to get out again sometimes if it doesn't work. So having a buyout clause, but these are more topics Danny know better than me, because even I'm a lawyer, but I'm not in a day-to-day contract side like Dan, so he's a specialist in that, so I would rather ask him, for example, Dan, so what should we be careful about, what can we do, what do you have new ideas, so he would help us with these things. So my job is really maintaining the relationship with the club, trying to get offers, more on that side.
Sport, the same type of stigma is not attached to players or athletes running down their contract. It is very common for players, granted there's no transfer fees equivalent in NBA or NFL or otherwise, to play for and play out their contract and then move at the end of their contract. In the UK and Europe and in other leagues, that is seen somehow as showing disloyalty to the club because they're not signing a new deal and they want to get more money by going somewhere else. The truth in all of that is that the agent will be playing an extremely prominent role in all of that. It might still be that he signs a new deal. I doubt it, but who knows? I think what is simply happening is the agent is making sure that the player probably is not getting injured, might still be playing a number of games, but because it's January the 1st, or past January the 1st now, he can sign a pre-contract with a new club. And the economic effect of that really is Eriksen's probably, depending on which Spurs fan you talk to, either a £5 million player or a £40 million player. But the truth is that instead of that money going to the new club, he is going to be able to attract a huge signing on bonus, huge loyalty bonuses, very large wages, and a very large agent commission. I'm not just looking at Erkut at that particular moment, but yeah, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, running out the contract is since the Bosman case we have. Before, even if the contract was running out, the other club had to pay a transfer fee. But since the Bosman case, it changed, and was it in the 90s, the end of the night? Huh? 95, yeah. Since then, if the contract runs out, the player can go anywhere he wants, and instead of a transfer fee, he gets a huge high commission or signing on fee, and the agent can demand as well much more money. I mean, it's also a danger. A lot of people don't see that. Let's say the player's got injured now, right? Next game he's got an injury, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. The clubs who actually were interested might think, no, okay, he's an injured player, he can't play till next year. We don't need him, maybe we should get another one, or he's not that value anymore. We're not paying, and in the end, you end up maybe earning less than you would have earned in that club if you would have extended the contract. So there's a risk, yeah. And some players are riskful. They want to go that risk, and some players are they want to really save. They say, don't wait too long. Just sign a contract. I don't want to be paid. I'm fine. Family, I have kids. I just don't want to risk it. So it's really case by case, and unfortunately, some agents bring their clients to the club where the commission is the highest for the agent. Unfortunately, I know some player, high profile player, and you sometimes think, why did that player go to that club? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And that's because the agent's getting more commission from that club, not because it's the better club for the player. And this happens a lot of time, because what happens is the agent is going to club A and asks, how much is my, let's say the salary for the player in each club would be approximately same. Let's say a player leaves now in summer and there are 5 options. And the salary would be approximately the same. And then the agents will start, okay, Club A, how much commission do you pay me? 2 million, that's not enough. Club C, or you pay me 4 million, 5 million, 7 million, 8 million. 8 million commission in the next 5 years. That agent will go then to his player and will say, you know what, I had this talks with Club A, these idiots, they don't really, the way they, talking about you is so bad. I don't think it's the right club for you, I know, and the coach never mentioned you even in the meeting. I don't think even the coach really wants you there. So we shouldn't go to that club. And Club B, you know what, no. I had very bad experience in the past with them. For you, the best club is Club D. Believe me. They really pay what you want, the coach wants you. It's all a lie. Yeah, the player will believe because he's not there when the meeting's happening. He will trust his agent or lawyer, and then in the end the deal happens, and 6 months later he's unhappy. It happens all the time.